Joe DiGenova, legal analyst, former U.S. Attorney to the District of Columbia. Hey, Joe, welcome back. So glad to have you. We have so much to discuss with you. It's just crazy. So, Joe, happy anniversary.
Thank you very much.
1 year anniversary.
Great anniversary.
1 year anniversary of your love affair with the Robert Mueller investigation. I'm curious, how long do you think you two will be together?
Well, Torquemada generally wears clothing fit for the occasion, so perhaps sackcloth and ashes would be appropriate.
So the 1 year anniversary of the Mueller Russia probe. Let me ask you, what have we learned in this last year from this probe?
I'm having great difficulty hearing you guys, so you're going to have to speak up. What have we learned from what?
From this last year of the probe.
Well, we've learned that there were no crimes committed by the Trump campaign. We learned that there was no reason to appoint a special counsel. We've learned that Rod Rosenstein, when he appointed Mueller as special counsel, was violating DOJ regulations. We've learned that Rod Rosenstein is an incompetent public official who never should have been made Deputy Attorney General. The list of known unknowns is now so huge that you have to ask yourself, when they started circulating the draft IG report in the last couple of days, and then the New York Times has a front-page article yesterday basically saying that everything we have been discussing on this radio station for almost 2 years about this is completely true, namely that there was a brazen plot to exonerate Hillary Clinton illegally, and then if she lost, to frame Donald Trump with false crimes. You are watching in front of you evolve the most bizarre and most despicable display of public corruption by the FBI and the DOJ. When this is over, and it will be over soon because there's nothing left of the ridiculous Russian plot, the deal is very simple. Rosenstein has to go and Sessions has to go. Sessions has been an incompetent manager of the department, and his supervision of the rolling out of every single aspect of this inside the department is an embarrassment to the history of the department.
Yesterday, that New York Times story you mentioned, and its relationship to the pending IG report that we have yet to see, this is interesting because that New York Times report kind of goes out of its way to gently tell the American public that government sources indicate that they were definitely spying on the Trump campaign. What did you take away from that?
Well, you will recall that when Victoria and I were being considered by the president to represent him in the Mueller investigation, and the conflicts took us out of that, political conflicts, not legal conflicts, it was reported in the New York Times and the Washington Post that we were conspiracy theorists because we had posited the notion that the government had been spying, the FBI and the DOJ under Obama, with Brennan and Clapper and Comey, had been spying on the Trump campaign. Well, lo and behold, yesterday in the New York Times, that very theory is confirmed by FBI and DOJ sources. Now, you have to ask yourself this question. What were the people at the New York Times and the Washington Post, not in their editorial departments, but in their news departments, where they're supposed to be objective and detached, what were they thinking that they could not have seen this over the last couple of years? The answer is they weren't thinking. They were carrying water because they hate Trump so much they would do anything to get him out of office. Well, here's a notice to the New York Times and the Washington Post. Donald Trump is going nowhere.
I want to ask you about the Bob Mueller investigation's the beginnings, because so far we do not know the scope of his investigation. He's refused to even hand it over to a judge who's asked for it, and that has been, I think, very interesting and weird for any number of reasons. But among them, isn't it sort of unconstitutional to not know the scope of an investigator's work before you say subpoena witnesses to come to speak to you and potentially end up charging them as targets in an investigation?
Well, actually, what Bob Mueller has done, he's actually done a lot to destroy normal notions of how grand juries are produced. Generally speaking, people, let's say there's a bank robbery. Everybody knows there's a bank robbery, and so they know there's going to be a grand jury while the police go out and look for the person who committed the bank robbery. In this case, it's the exact opposite. There is no crime. There is no evidence of any crime. And yet Rod Rosenstein said, well, let's take this counterintelligence investigation and give it to Bob Mueller with no evidence of any crime, and let's ask him to impanel a grand jury to investigate nothing. Now, ordinarily, no one would be questioning the authority of a prosecutor because they would know that a bank had been robbed. In this case, all the bank did was open its door and let in its regular customers. And so Rod Rosenstein, this incompetent buffoon who happens to be the Deputy Attorney General of the United States, decides because he's politically weak and doesn't want to take the heat conducting an internal DOJ investigation of all of this, appoints Robert Mueller to investigate nothing. What you are watching is the destruction of traditional DOJ policy. And in the course of doing that, they are harming other investigations around the country because the citizens will begin to ask questions about the propriety of government action, and they should.
All right, we're holding on to Joe DiGenova. A lot more questions for him. It's 8:44 here on WMAL.
At Cordell & Cordell, we focus on representing men in domestic relations cases.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
We recognize that our clients are going through perhaps the toughest time they will ever go through. We understand that everything that's important to them is on the table. Their assets, the role in their children's lives. That's an immense responsibility that our clients entrust us with, and we take that very seriously. We've been trained to do that. We've helped thousands of clients before, and it's our hope that you'll choose to entrust us with what's most important to you.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives, which includes protecting men's financial means to do so. Contact the domestic litigation firm of Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Fairfax area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 571-446-0000. That's 571-446 all zeros. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in Falls Church.
Our family is known for collecting things: bicycles, sports equipment, camping supplies, and it all ends up in our backyard. Oh, and our 6 dogs. A neighbor insisted we have Long Fence come install a privacy fence so we don't lose anything. So thoughtful. I went to longfence.com, got a free estimate, and now we have a beautiful custom privacy fence to keep all of our collections safe and out of sight. Thanks, neighbor.
Everything we do makes a difference at Long Fence.
8:45 now, WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes, first on the 5s. Here's Jamie Whitten in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
Vince, Mary, I'm so glad our commuters have you all to listen to because we have just a really difficult rush hour everywhere. I'm seeing so much heavy traffic, heavy rain in a lot of our areas causing the extra volume. So just factor that in, and extra time needed for everybody. 202 Landover Road, really solid here as you try to head toward 50, the John Hanson Highway in the westbound direction. 202 west after 50 for the crash. That's before you get to the Baltimore Washington Parkway 295. Everyone pushing slowly onto 295 coming southbound out of Riverdale and Cheverly. That's our typical volume, but again, with the rain and the extra delays this morning, factor in the extra time to get you past East Capitol Street. And within the backups, crash reported. High standing water, that is something everyone needs to watch for in any areas you know that are prone to ponding. Take it easy. Remember, be safe. 295 northbound at Malcolm X. They had that right lane that was underwater. Delays off the Beltway. Still with the earlier problems on Riverdale Road. Closed between 410 and Auburn Avenue. Pole and wires are down. Brunswick trains operating on a modified schedule. No White's Ferry due to the high water. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Weather Channel forecast.
Flooding possible with a flood watch this afternoon through Friday evening. We'll see occasional rain around and showers for the afternoon hours. Thunderstorms, 71 degrees, more rain tonight and tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Ray Stajic, the Weather Channel on WMAL.
67 degrees in the nation's capital, 8:47 on WMAL.
Joining us now, Joe DiGenova, legal analyst, former U.S. attorney to the District of Columbia. Joe, boy, we're all going to know now what a crossfire hurricane is. It appears it was the name of the investigation into the Trump campaign before the election. Why were they investigating people associated with the Trump campaign before?
You guys are breaking up. I cannot hear you, but I think you asked why they were investigating before the election.
Yes, precisely.
The answer is very simple. The powers that be in the Obama administration at the National Security Council the NSC, the CIA, at the FBI and DOJ decided that under no circumstances should Donald Trump be president of the United States. And so they undertook a covert action, underscore covert action in the United States against the presidential candidate of the opposing party. Mm-hmm. And in the course of doing so, they not only used electronic surveillance through FISA illegally, but they infiltrated the campaign with the use of an agent provocateur, who is a dual national, American and UK citizen, and whose name is known to everyone in the FBI and the CIA and the Department of Justice, and no one is saying his name for reasons that escape me. I know who it is, and so does just about everybody else who reads and is a sentient being. He is being protected by Rod Rosenstein and by Jeff Sessions, and for what reason, I do not know. It's only a matter of days before his names come out. Major news outlets have his name. And the question he will have to ask to a federal grand jury is, did John Brennan ask you to do this? And if so, please describe the circumstances under which you met with him in the United Kingdom.
Well, so much information yet to come out on this. Joe DiGenova, thanks for helping us keep track of it. We'll be speaking to you again really soon here on this very issue. Thanks, Joe.
Okay. Thanks.
Happy anniversary.